I am 79 years old and I need to tell you about the most expensive thing I ever owned. It wasn't my house, it wasn't my car. It was my pride. And it cost me everyone I ever loved. Right now, you're holding on to something. A grudge. A fight from 3 months ago, 3 years ago, maybe longer. Someone said something. Someone did something. And you're waiting. Waiting for them to apologize first. Waiting for them to admit they were wrong. I know you're doing this because I did it my whole life. And I'm here to tell you stop right now because the person you're waiting for might not be alive next week. Let me tell you who I used to be. I was the kind of man people respected. At least that's what I told myself. I didn't take disrespect from anyone. If you wronged me, you apologized. That was the rule. I didn't chase after people. I didn't beg for reconciliation. My father raised me that way. He used to say, "Son, a man who apologizes first is a man who gets walked on." He said pride was the last thing they could never take from you. So I built my life on that foundation. I kept score. I remembered every slight, every argument, every time someone crossed the line, and I waited for them to fix it. When my brother and I had a falling out over our mother's estate, he said some things. I said some things. It got ugly. He wanted to talk it out the next week, but he hadn't apologized. Not really. So I said no. I said when he was ready to take responsibility, he knew where to find me. That was 22 years ago. When my best friend Michael missed my daughter's wedding, I was furious. He called twice to apologize. Both times I kept it short, cold. I waited for a real apology, a grand gesture. He stopped calling after that. I figured that proved my point. My daughter and I didn't speak for 4 years over a fight about her husband. I thought he was wrong for her. I said so. She told me to stay out of her life if I couldn't be supportive. I told her when she was ready to hear the truth without getting emotional, we could talk. 4 years, 4 Christmases. I missed the birth of my grandson because I was waiting for her to see that I was right. The lie I believed was simple. Apologizing first means you lose. It means you admit defeat. And I'd rather be alone than wrong. I had a whole philosophy built around it. I'd tell myself that real relationships survive disagreements, that true friends don't let pride get in the way, that if someone really loved you, they'd be the bigger person. Of course, I never applied that logic to myself. The years went by. My circle got smaller. People I'd known my whole life drifted away after arguments I can barely remember now. And I let them go, every single time, because I had my dignity. The trigger event happened 6 months ago. Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in my living room, in the same chair I'm sitting in now. I was looking at my address book, the old brown leather one I've had since 1982. I'd been thinking about James. We'd been friends for 40 years, worked together, raised our kids in the same neighborhood, spent every Sunday watching football. We had a falling out 8 years ago over something political, some argument that turned into him calling me stubborn and me telling him he'd changed. We hadn't spoken since. 8 years of silence because neither of us would pick up the phone first. That Tuesday, I decided I was going to call him. I don't know why that day specifically. Maybe I was lonely, maybe I was tired of being right all the time. I opened the address book. It's filled with names, some in pen, some in pencil. Some crossed out because they'd moved. Some crossed out for other reasons. I found James's name, his number written in blue ink, a little faded. I picked up my phone and I dialed it. It rang once, then a recorded voice. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." I tried again. Same message. I sat there holding the phone, staring at that address book entry. James's name, his old number. And I realized I didn't know how else to reach him. So I searched for him online. It took me a while, but eventually I found it. An obituary. James had died 4 months earlier. Heart attack. Survived by his wife, his 3 children, his 6 grandchildren. I wasn't mentioned. Of course I wasn't. I hadn't been part of his life for 8 years. I read that obituary 3 times. There was a paragraph about how he spent his retirement volunteering at the youth center, teaching kids woodworking. I didn't know he'd done that. Another paragraph about his love of fishing and how he'd finally bought that boat he'd always talked about. We used to talk about buying a boat together. That was the dream back when we were 45 and thought we had forever. He'd bought the boat without me. He'd lived entire years I knew nothing about, and now he was gone. I looked back at my address book, really looked at it. Page after page of crossed out names. Some crossed out because they'd moved, sure, but most crossed out for other reasons. Arguments, slights, grudges, waiting for apologies that never came. I started calling numbers. Richard, my cousin. We'd argued about money he'd borrowed. 15 years of silence. His number worked. His wife answered. She told me Richard had Alzheimer's. He didn't really remember anyone anymore. I'd waited too long. David from my poker group. 10 years. His number was disconnected. I found his son on social media. David had died 3 years ago. Paul. 16 years since we'd spoken. Still alive. But when I called and said my name, there was this long silence. Then he said, "I'm sorry. Who is this?" Not because he didn't remember me. He was asking why I thought I could just call after 16 years like nothing had happened. We talked for maybe 3 minutes before he said he had to go. I could hear it in his voice. I'd waited too long. Whatever friendship we'd had, it had died years ago. I sat there with that address book for hours, page after page of my life, and most of it crossed out. Here's what I need you to understand. We think pride protects us. We think refusing to apologize first makes us strong. We think waiting for the other person to come to us proves we were right. But pride doesn't protect you. It isolates you. Every time you choose pride over connection, you trade a living relationship for a dead principle. And the worst part? Half those arguments, I don't even remember who was right. I couldn't tell you what James and I were actually fighting about. Something political. Something that seemed so important 8 years ago and means absolutely nothing now. But James is still dead. And I'm still here alone, holding on to the memory of being right in an argument I can't even remember. I did the math last week. I've been alive for 79 years. You know how much of that I've spent angry at people? Waiting for apologies, holding grudges, at least 20 years? 20 years of my one precious life spent being right instead of being connected. You can't get that time back. You can't call them when they're dead and say you're sorry. The truth I found too late is this. Your pride will keep you warm, but it won't hold your hand when you're dying. Right now I have acquaintances. I have people I see at the senior center. I have my daughter, and we're okay now, but there's still this distance between us. Those 4 years left a scar. But real friends, the kind who know you, who've lived life alongside you, they're almost all gone. And most of them didn't have to die to be gone. I killed those relationships myself, one prideful decision at a time. Last month I went to a funeral for a guy I barely knew. The church was packed, hundreds of people, his family, his friends, people from every part of his life. I sat in the back and I watched all those people crying, sharing stories, holding each other. And I thought, who's coming to mind? My daughter, maybe her kids, out of obligation, and that's probably it. Because I spent my life protecting my dignity instead of protecting my relationships. Here's what you need to hear. Nobody is coming to your funeral to talk about that time you were right. Nobody's going to stand at your grave and say, "You know what I respected about them? They never apologized first." They're going to talk about the times you showed up, the times you swallowed your pride and made things right, the times you loved people more than you loved being right. You think you have time. You think eventually you'll reach out or they'll reach out and you'll fix it. You think there's always tomorrow, there isn't. I'm 79 years old. I might have 5 years left. Might have 10 if I'm lucky. Might have 10 minutes. You never know. And I'm spending whatever time I have left with this address book looking at all these crossed out names, all these dead relationships, all these people I loved who died while I was waiting for them to apologize first. My brother died 2 years ago. I went to the funeral. I stood in the back. I didn't cry. I'd already done my crying 8 years earlier when I chose pride over family. Michael, my best friend from college, I found out he had 3 more kids I never met. Grandkids I never saw. A whole life that continued without me because I was too proud to make a phone call. I think about that phone call with James that I never got to make. The things I would have said. I'm sorry, I don't even remember what we were fighting about. I miss watching football with you. I miss your terrible jokes. I miss having a friend. I'll never get to say those words to him, but you can still say them to whoever you're thinking about right now. Because you are thinking about someone right now, aren't you? There's someone you haven't talked to in months or years. Someone you're waiting to hear from. Someone who wronged you or who you wronged, and there's been this silence ever since. You tell yourself you'll reach out eventually. You tell yourself they should apologize first. You tell yourself you have time. You don't. That person you're thinking about could be dead tomorrow. Could be dead right now and you don't even know it yet. I'm telling you this because I can't tell it to the people I should have called. They're gone. All I have left is their names in an address book and the weight of all the words I never said. Don't be me. Don't wait until you're 79 years old surrounded by crossed out names and disconnected numbers. Don't trade the people you love for the satisfaction of being right. Call them. Today. Right now. I don't care who was wrong. I don't care what they did. Call them. Because I'm sitting here in my living room with my address book, and almost everyone in it is gone. And the ones who are still alive don't want to hear from me anymore. I waited too long. I spent my whole life winning arguments and losing people. And now I'm old and I'm alone and I'm right about everything and it means nothing.